Hi, I'm Brian Thompson, CEO of United Healthcare.
You're a dead man! I'm sending you straight to hell!
A nationwide manhunt is on this morning for the man police say shot and killed the United Healthcare CEO.
A chaotic scene outside a Pennsylvania courthouse as police escort a screaming Luigi Mangione inside.
Luigi, just do it! I'm completely out of touch! And as an insult, he tells us that American people that should experience!
Yikes, Draven. Have you tried being confident?
On December 4th, 2024, CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, was assassinated in New York. Now, I remember where I was during this event pretty clearly. I just woken up from a nap after working the night shift, and the first thing I see when I go to YouTube is a nationwide manhunt for the killer. As soon as I go down to scroll the comments, everyone's praising the guy. And I can definitely see where people are coming from. There are so many people who have been absolutely gamed by greedy healthcare practices. So even before the identity of the shooter was identified, people were already rallying support for him. However, a few days later, the police arrested Luigi Mangione as the prime suspect for the shooting. Immediately after his face was revealed, women were thirsting all over him on the internet. I'm not gonna sit here and act like Luigi is a 10 out of 10 model, but his above average looks certainly played a part in cementing his status. Like, I invited my female friend group over, and they were just saying the usual, just be confident, it's all about personality, blah blah. But in the same breath, they were thirsting all over Luigi, like they were obsessed over him. I really do agree that the main reason for Luigi's hype is more because of his actions than his looks. But his good looks amplified his actions and fame for sure. But what I wanted to talk about is the shooter's origins. This dude had literally everything. Loving girlfriend, insanely wealthy parents. The guy even went to an Ivy League and had more money than I could even imagine. This guy had everything I wanted and more. So what made him crack? So apparently, Luigi had back problems that rendered him unable to play sports and not have sex either. BABP, another YouTuber in the Lookism space, has a similar condition, right? Like he can't have sex, basically he has a bad back for the rest of his life, and I can imagine that this is incredibly painful. But the thing is, Luigi went through a fraction of BABP suffering for just a few months, and that was enough to make him lose it. And this entire situation kind of reminds me of Connor Murphy, the fitness enthusiast who, in his words, fucked 3 fucking girls a day, and went insane after losing his hairline. Like even going from a 9 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10 was enough for Connor to go crazy. And that's the thing for a lot of people. They would never survive in our shoes. They say things like being a lonely sub 5 male is bearable, how we just need to make friends and be confident, just like that. But the thing is, these guys like Connor Murphy and Luigi Mangione literally get a taste of our life, and that's enough to make them snap. I mean, I get it. To have something and to lose it is far more devastating than living your whole life this way. And I'm willing to bet a lot of guys here might take inspiration from Luigi and try to copycat him, but I can tell you for a fact that no one would care if some sub 5 guy did the same stuff. As soon as your ugly mug hits the TV screen, people are gonna go, ew, get that off my screen, and then move on with their lives. And there is no better example of this than Thomas Matthew Crooks, who is the other person I want to talk about. Now, if we look at Thomas Matthew Crooks, the guy who tried to pew Trump, this guy was literally dead on arrival. And I quite literally mean that. Like the minute he died, no one said anything about him besides identifying him and a few short interviews from classmates. There was no deep dive into his past or anything like that. I remember the same female friend who was over at my place talking about how in love she was with Luigi got super confused when I showed her a picture of Thomas Crooks. She was all like, who's that? I mean, you can make the argument that more people do like Trump. I know he's one of those people that you either love or hate. There's no in between. And I need to make it clear, I'm not saying it was good that Trump was shot at. No matter what way you lean politically, the assassination of a political figure is against democratic values. But the thing is, a lot of the women, the liberal women, who voiced support for Luigi hate Trump even more. Like they hate Trump so much. And I guarantee you half the people who cheered on Brian Thompson's death didn't even know the name of the CEO before he died. I mean, I sure didn't. I'm not going to sit here and act like I did. But as soon as people heard about the Trump assassination attempt, more people focused on Trump and his well-being than the actual shooter. What little we did hear about the shooter was from his classmates. And here's a clip of Cameron Herron's clone talking about Crooks' life.
He was bullied almost every day.
In what way? Can you explain?
I mean, he would sit alone at lunch. I mean, he was just an outcast, and you know how kids are nowadays, so they're gonna see someone like that, and they're gonna target him because they think it's funny or whatever, so it's the best way I can describe it. And it's honestly kind of sad. Like, I don't want to say this is what provoked it, but you never know.
Yeah. You said he was a loner?
Yeah. I want to say he was a loner more because he was quiet, but like he was just bullied. Like he was bullied so much.
This was high school.
Yeah.
What did they, do you remember at all what they said to him or called him?
No. He was just made fun of, I guess, for the way he dressed or his appearance.
You can see how the guy even held a smile at the end. Like, you know that this guy, even if he didn't directly bully Crooks, still found his life to be amusing at the very least. I mean, you can definitely tell that Thomas didn't have a great social life from his looks alone. And I feel like Thomas Crooks isn't talked about in the Lookism place at all. In fact, I don't see anyone talking about this guy. He was completely forgotten about, like, a week after. Like, if you just look at the guy, he's not exactly Chico. And I'm not saying that being attractive would excuse his actions, or that he even deserves to have attention. You can't tell me that looks didn't play a part in his irrelevance. Literally, as soon as I saw his face on the news, I felt secondhand cringe, like actual cringe. And I'm sure people IRL felt the same way when they saw him in their classes, in the streets. Like, this guy never had a chance. And it's really sad. He probably felt like no one cared for him. Girls probably weren't even a thought for him just due to how unattainable they were for him. And this guy was completely broken. And he thought to himself that he wanted to make a mark on history before he left the server. But the thing is, as soon as he died, he was forgotten about. He was just as pathetic in death as he was in life. And that's the most depressing part. Even with Luigi Mangione, he will eventually be forgotten about in a few years. Maybe if he's lucky, he gets a Netflix documentary or something, even if what he was fighting for was arguably more noble than Thomas Matthew Crooks. Luigi Mangione, in my opinion, threw away a privileged life in mere minutes, when he could have probably bounced back eventually from his back injuries. That might anger some people here, what I just said, but it is really what I believe. Like, I could never survive prison, bro, being cooped up in there for years on end. I watch all these videos by people that were in prison, and that shit sounds like middle school, but with more stabbing. Like, holy shit, man. Literal nightmare fuel. I would never survive. And I really do wish the best for Luigi. I hope that he gets like 15 years thanks to his expensive lawyer. And I've seen worse people get way less years in the slammer, but who knows. The system might try to make an example out of him and keep him in there for as long as they can. That's just the world we live in. Literal child rapists get less time than this guy. But yeah, that's all I had for this video. Overall, it's pretty interesting to look at these two guys. Both shooters, one lost everything, and one had nothing to lose. Hopefully, if this video hits a more mainstream audience, it doesn't piss off any of those viewers. I understand that people have very radical views on these cases, but I just wanted to talk about the Lookism aspects of them in a bit more detail. But that's all I have for this video. Pretty short one, but still worth talking about. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one.
This is a certified PSL classic.